Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and tonight I'm joined by Kevin Graham, Kevin McCluskey and Lawrence Connolly. We're here to talk about Celtic 2, Motherwell 1. A wee bit tighter than we would have envisaged at the beginning of the game, I'm sure. Lawrence, I'll come to you first and foremost. You were not that impressed with the performance, were you?
No, mate. 3 shots on target all night, 2 of the first half, 1 the second half. I suppose it's the points that count, but slow, pedestrian, uninspired. But, we march on. It's another win. It's 3 points. We're still, clear at the top of the league. But, you're going to have some performances like that throughout the season, I suppose. But as long as you get the 3 points.
Yeah, you are. Kevin McCluskey, we spoke about it at half-time around how to inject some life into the performance. I think that obviously the changes were made. Did it make much of a difference for you, did you think, the changes?
Yes and no, a little bit. I felt Haksabanovic was a better option than Abada when he came on. He was a bit more direct and forceful when he had it. Tried to make things happen a little bit more. It just wasn't Abada's day. He was just off it. But then the other changes, I'm not really sure. I mean, there were the changes I would have made, but I don't think they really made a big difference to how we were playing. And we did speak about it a little bit at half-time. That's also credit to Motherwell. They just set up to be quite stodgy and defensive and didn't allow us to play through them like we wanted to. So you've got to give them a bit of credit for us not being able to play and for it not being a very exciting game from that point of view. But every now and again, we're going to get these games. We're not going to blow sides away every week and play the scintillating football that we want to see. We're going to have to struggle at times, and we did that today. We were in control of possession all the 90 minutes, and it was never really in doubt. It was just a point of, were we going to get the second goal, or were we going to give away a daft goal? And luckily, we got the second before we gave away the daft goal. But no, happy, like Lauren says, just happy to come away with the 3 points. That's all tonight was all about, just getting the 3 points.
Yeah, Kevin Graham was on earlier on today talking about the fact that we need to get a couple of wins under our belt before we start thinking about breaks over the World Cup. Changes were made. Turnbull comes on, turns out to set up the what became the winning goal. Obviously, Maeda comes on and scores that winning goal, Kevin. But there is a lot more to talk about besides that as well. So we will take it blow by blow. Okay. So initially, we're a goal up, and we're talking about injecting a wee bit of life. We've got to talk about the first thing. The real talking point was Jota's goal. He puts us, we thought he put us 2-0 up. Kyogo was unbelievable in winning possession and in picking out the pass. It looked to me that Jota timed it to perfection, and the finish was outstanding as well. Goes to VAR, called offside. Kev, I'm going to ask you first, what was your thoughts on that particular decision?
We've never really had a decent view of it, did we? They were quick enough. I was watching some feed from Motherwell TV, which I must admit was like watching computer graphics of Match Day 2 on the ZX Spectrum in 1986.
Who was the co-commentator?
I think it was Rory, what's his name? McLeod, or boy, it used to be on BT. Hamilton. I think it was him. It was only one commentator, but he was as boring as a bus conductor, man.
Were you not watching the Jock Brown game, no? The Jock Brown.
No, Jock Brown seemed to disappear from the feed I was watching at half time. So
I'm just wondering who was with Jock. Who was with Jock? He was an ex-Celtic player, apparently.
It was Darren Jackson.
Was it Jacko?
Was it Dazzler?
Aye. It took me a while to get it as well.
I could not figure it out. I could not figure out who that was. Some of the TV shots were better than the VAR shot we got, Kev.
Aye, we never really saw the VAR shot, but what I would put it down to, Jota didn't really complain about it too much, did he? He didn't really, if he was onside, I think you would have seen him waving his head about and waving his hair and being all dramatic, being all Iberian and dramatic, but it wasn't. It would have been the goal of the season, man. It would have been an absolutely cracking goal. It would have been a brilliant goal.
Yeah.
So, I think the night David Turnbull's ball for the second goal. There's two guys winners this game tonight. It was David Turnbull and Matt O'Reilly. They showed a bit of class. Only two bits of class that were really in the game. And they got us through. If anybody switched on that last 10 minutes, I would have thought we would have been entertained all night. We weren't entertained at all. That game was utter rubbish, utter dross. It's 3 points. We move on. Need 3 points on Saturday as well, and we move on to the World Cup. There was only 4 players the night got past match for me. The 2 centre halves, Moy and O'Reilly, and David Turnbull gets a nice pat on the back for that ball. And you've got to say Maeda as well because he scored. But all the rest of them can. And Kyogo done his job for his goal as well.
I was going to throw Kyogo in the mix. Because
all the rest of them just had a middling night.
But Kyogo, as well as the goal, I thought he'd done a lot of good defensive work. I think the Jota goal, we could probably argue that one all night. What do you think in the comments? Let us know. But his work leading up to that goal was just tremendous. It was superb.
It was phenomenal, but I still can't actually believe that Jota and Hatate both lasted 79 and 68 minutes, respectively, in that game. Jota really frustrated me the night, and also was quite frustrated doing the right-hand side when Haksabanovic and Juranovic came. They started like linking up well, but final ball wasn't there. But hey, we dominated the game. It was a performance we're not going to really remember hopefully when the medals and the trophies are getting dished out at the end of the season. It was comfortable, but I kind of thought we sleepwalked again, a bit like the Dundee United game. But hey, it's 3 points. That's all we actually wanted was the 3 points. We got it, and we just need to move on. It did look like it was a game a bit too far for us, but hey ho, another home game on Saturday. Looking forward to going to the game on Saturday, but I won't remember this one for very long.
Well, Kevin McCluskey, Kevin Graham says that the reaction of Jota says a lot about that goal that was ruled offside. What was your thought? What was your take on it?
Initial take was I thought he was onside. I thought he looked onside. And then I haven't seen an angle of it that says he wasn't. Because the angles that we've seen, the VAR angle and then the replays, they're inconclusive. It's really, really tight. It's definitely not a clear and obvious mistake that the ref or the linesman has made with it. But I take on board what Kev said, actually. The reaction of the players usually a big giveaway. If it's, has he made a foul? Is he offside? And Jota doesn't complain about it at all. He just kind of shrugs his shoulders and gets on with it. So maybe he has looked along the line himself and seen that he's offside, and that's
if he is offside, Kevin. It's only his kneecap.
Aye, it's very.
If he's got hair on his kneecap, it's a hair on his kneecap that's offside. If anything, it's no clear and obvious.
Jota's knee. No. Bob. We may have won this game, but the disallowed VAR offside, if that's still image that we saw from the other half of the pitch is the best there was, then VAR needs to be switched off. Lawrence, you've not had an opportunity to speak about the disallowed goal. What was your take on it?
Yeah, I wouldn't put anything down to Jota's reaction because, it was 90 seconds afterwards or something they made the decision. He knows it's going to be tight. Am I convinced by the VAR image? No. It's just a ridiculous image they shoved up. But, yeah, it would have been a cracking goal. I didn't think it was offside. I'm still not convinced it was offside, mate. That VAR image, you just look and go, what's that, mate, surely? Doesn't look offside in it. So, yeah. But, still not get a decision from VAR, Motherwell could have the boy sent off. I'm surprised VAR didn't call that tackle up. He's late, he's out of control, he's endangering an opponent. What party it's not a red card? Well, yeah, that does lead us on to the other VAR decision. And what I said at the beginning of the game, I didn't want this to be dominated by VAR. But it's becoming increasingly difficult to go through a post-match and not talk about it. But we are keen to get some of your thoughts in on the comments. Stephen Sloan, very poor second half. Stephen agrees with Kev Graham. How did Giakoumakis miss that? I think the World Cup break is maybe coming at the right time because we just don't seem to be at the races at the moment. That was quite a bad miss actually by Giakoumakis, but again, we win the game, so you don't really focus on it too much. And it's decorating back in on the chat.
to say more VAR nonsense, Jota goal looked onside. The tackle on Starfelt was shocking too. Maeda was great and his energy was just what we needed. Second half was lacklustre. Well, Lawrence brought it up. Let's talk about the tackle, if you can call it a tackle, on Starfelt. And, on the first showing I thought it was shocking. I've seen a few replays on it and it didn't get much better. Morris, he gets a yellow card. It goes to VAR, they look at it, they can see it in slow motion, they can watch it time and time again, various replays, various angles. Yet still, Kevin McCluskey, it doesn't go down as a red. How on earth, how on earth could that be the decision of any sane-minded individual who's a professional in that role to watch that tackle and think it's not a red card?
No idea. No idea for that one. When you see it in live and in real speed, it's a horrible tackle because he's completely mistimed it. He's off the ground, his feet are raised, he's gone in with his studs, and he's caught Starfelt big time. It's there's no, I don't think there's any malice behind it or anything like that. It's just a really poorly timed tackle. But as Lon said, he's not in control of his body when he makes the tackle and when he makes connection. I think it's Starfelt's lucky because it could be a leg breaker if he's a little bit higher up when he catches him. I think it's that bad of a tackle with the force that's behind it. And then, as you say, if you're watching the replays and you get it in slow motion, it's bound to look even worse. So how they can't give that as a red card, for me, it's beyond me.
Lawrence has already had his say about the tackle on Starfelt. Kevin Graham, do you agree with Kevin McCluskey?
It's wild, it's out of control, it's a straight red card, even if looking at the VAR decision. It's another horror show by Willie Collum. Mm-hmm. He sees it and he sees that the guy's out of control. It is a red card any day of the week. Shouldn't even have needed to went to VAR. But again, it's just a Willie Collum special, and that's Willie Collum all over. I'm a bit annoyed. I think Giacomakis was unlucky with his chance, but that was a straight red chance. That was a straight red card. The guy made no attempt to get the ball whatsoever. It was reckless on a heavy pitch. And I hate that. You hear the commentators go, the referee took into account it's a heavy pitch. It's either a serious wrong challenge or it's no. It doesn't matter if it's dry, snowing, foggy. It doesn't matter. The boy was out of control. It was a red card.
Does the environment come into it, Kev? Is that part of the rules? I don't think it is it? John Hughes, 2 games in a row. We've had serious problems defending simple balls into the box. Did any of you have any concerns about our defensive display tonight?
I think they got caught with a quick free kick and Juranovic wasn't quick enough for playing the boy offside. I think for me, I thought the 2 centre halves were fine. Joe Hart didn't really have anything to do whatsoever. It was the goal. I think I didn't like giving Motherwell credit. I just didn't like doing it. But they took a quick free kick, and if we're looking for anybody to blame for the goal, it's Juranovic. Yeah.
Overall, do you think Juranovic played pretty well tonight, though? I thought he was a wee bit more direct than Taylor on the left-hand side. I thought he linked pretty well down the right-hand side. He might have been sleeping or caught napping for the goal. Tidy finish, by the way, by young Tierney. But I did think Juranovic performed pretty well tonight. Is that the view of yourself, Kev McCluskey? I mean, I did think Taylor was a bit quiet this evening. Lost quite a few balls. His possession wasn't great.
Yeah, I think as a fully paid up member of the Greg Taylor fan club, I'm going to take some stick for this one because I thought that was a poor performance by him tonight for his standards. He's usually really comfortable and assured in the ball, and he gave it away for me too easily, too often. Juranovic on the other side, he was all right. He would get a pass mark probably, but I don't think he was outstanding. I don't think he was at his usual level either. He did put in one really dangerous cross, I think, in the first half that Hatate went for, but didn't quite get his shot off cleanly. Other than that, I don't really remember him doing very much going forward as a real attacking threat. He maybe linked up well with Haksabanovic and tried to force the issue at times, but I don't think it was a vintage performance by him, and he fell into the trap that quite a few players did today where they were just maybe a wee bit off it. and didn't perform to their best. But we'll labour on the point and go, the main thing is we're left with the 3 points and we didn't play at our best. So we can take that into the next game and hopefully forget this one and put a better performance out of the weekend.
Yes, absolutely. We managed to find a way. Joe Hamilton, 3 points away from home. Good enough for me, says Joe. And there's quite a lot of comments coming in quite like that. We've got Sean Fairley, slack play made that far more nervy than it should have been, 3 points. Happy days. Before the game, when I seen the lineup, Lawrence, I'll come to you first. I was looking at the inclusion of Abada on the right-hand side. We know just how many options we've got up there. Yakimakis obviously came off the bench. Maeda came off the bench. James Forrest didn't tonight. But we do have a lot of good options up top. And one of the talking points that we didn't get round to covering in the pre-match was around Abada. Abada, for me, has had a bit of a stop-start season. He scores against Dundee United and I start thinking, well, he needs a wee run of games out wide right, and he starts tonight. So I was going to speak about that, didn't get round to it. But then he was disappointing again for me. Lawrence, is this a boy who hasn't quite got the consistency yet?
Yeah, he was pretty anonymous tonight, wasn't he? I thought we'd have had Jamesy on at half time to replace him. Definitely, he's lacking consistency. There's a lot of competition out there. I was, surprised he wasn't changed at half time. Yeah, but he's young. He's got a lot of time to improve. But yeah, I thought we'd have changed him and got Jamesy on. It was just anonymous for me. He wasn't doing anything to justify his place in the park.
We've got a lot of questions at half-time, Kevin Graham, around what do we do to find a way. We were disappointed with the first half performance. And often what you're looking for is these game changers, the players that can find a way through the defence, a packed defence, as it often was tonight. And one of those guys is Abada. But as I was saying before, slight concerns at his consistency at this moment in time. I know that, the default is you put it down to his age. But he's been at Celtic now for a season and a half, Kev, and he's been in and out the side. How is he going to get a run of games if he comes in and performs like he does tonight?
I think it's just like band members of the fall, eh? I mean, they're all getting rotated round about now, eh? And I don't think it's maybe suiting him. I mean, I didn't think he was that good on Saturday either, but he scored an absolutely fantastic goal, eh? And he does come in and do a job. Look, a lot of these guys have handled European football for the first time. They've handled a Champions League campaign for the first time. We've also now got a bigger squad where Ange Postecoglou had to go to the well quite a lot of times last season and keep on using the same players, and he doesn't need to do that now. And as you say, Abada's still a young laddie, and we've played an awful lot of football, and I think that's shown in the last 2 games anyway that we've played, especially after the buzz in the Champions League and that, going to Madrid and stuff like that. I think we're now just having a look at Saturday's game going, right, there's a wee finishing line. The lads that are going to go to the World Cup are going to get a wee bit of a boost, and the other ones are going to get a wee trip to Australia. But if somebody would have said to me at the start of the season that we were going to be 7 points clear with 1 game left before we went into the World Cup break, I would have bit their hands off for it. So I can't be disappointed with any of the squad whatsoever. Even tonight, I mean, look, I think 2-1 flatters Motherwell. I mean, it looked like they were managed by a maths teacher who's been told to take PE. You kind of like talking about a foot manager's dress, like you know that's one of my favourite subjects.
I never noticed. What was he wearing tonight?
Oh, he had these stupid shoes on with the white soles, a pair of black skin tight trousers and a black jumper. He looked like a maths teacher I'd been told he had to go out and take PE. That's what he looked like.
What have you got against the trainers with the white soles? What's your problem with them?
They're ridiculous, man. Utterly ridiculous. I mean, look, I ken I'm not a fashion guru. I know I'm not a fashion guru altogether. That's how I can criticise other folk who think they're fashion gurus, because I've got no fashion sense whatsoever. So I'm quite happy with that. Look, they were a team of plant pots. 2-1 flattered them completely. We were in control. I forgot what I was actually going to say. We were in control of the game all the time. But that's what I was going to say. The attitude of the team was spot on. I don't think anybody had I think the attitude was great. And when we went into for 88 minutes for the last 7 minutes, we basically just saw out the game. It was great game management. Brilliant by the team in a game that we're not going to remember. But the attitude's absolutely fantastic of this side. And I think that attitude will get us 3 points again, like on Saturday. And I think we've got that attitude now, but I think we're having a look at, we can see this wee break coming, and we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. What's your thoughts, Kevin McCluskey, on the Abada question? He's a player who I think that the way that he adapted to the Scottish game last season was phenomenal, probably exceeded most of our expectations. And he's had his moments this season, but there's also been some poor performances, and tonight was one of them. I would suggest he was hooked against Real Madrid at half time, and I called it earlier a stop-start campaign for him. How long can that go though? Because he's the type of player that needs a good run of games. He needs to really establish himself in the Celtic side, and I know we have that rotational ability because of the amount of players that we actually have in that kind of forward third. Do you have any concerns though about his form, about his inconsistent form?
So I'm a big fan of Abada. I think he's a really good player, and I'm going to try and avoid falling into the trap of saying it's his age and he's only 21 and that's why he's inconsistent. I think it's the type of player that he is, and that's why he's going to be inconsistent at times, because there's going to be games that'll suit him down to a T, and the games against Rangers seem to be those games. He always puts in a big performance in those matches, scored a couple of goals the last time. And then there'll be other games when he comes up against that stuffier type of defence and he just can't get going. He doesn't get that couple of yards that he needs maybe to run at a defender. He's not getting the space in the box to make that run that he makes from right to middle to get in the end of crosses. There's just games that won't suit him. And tonight was possibly just one of them. But while Kev was talking, I was trying to have a look at his record, and on paper it's really good. He's got 7 goals in 14 games this season.
My record.
Goes on these.
I paid to get my record expunged.
Can I come back for that?
I do want to see your record, Kev. 7 goals in 14 games.
Do not. He's got 7 goals in 14 games, Abada, which is a great record. But he goes on these long barren runs when he doesn't score, and that's the inconsistency that you're highlighting. I'm not overly concerned by it because I think give him a run of games and he will shine. And he's got that ability that he can play right, he can play through the middle. And he gives us just options for certain games. And maybe we just need to manage him better in the games that he plays for us. Tonight's maybe a game for Jamesy Forrest. Bit more experience coming in to manage this kind of occasion. And then there's other games Abada will play in. But I don't have too many concerns for him. But that's partly because I'm a bit biased because I'm a fan of him. I like the way he plays.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, since the last game we played against Motherwell at Fir Park, we beat them 4-0 domestically anyway. We've had a few kind of tighter games. Hearts at Tynecastle ended 4-3. We then pummeled Livingston 3-0 away. But the Dundee United game at home 4-2, we know that was quite tight as well. And again tonight on paper, certainly it looks tight. It goes back to one of the points that came in earlier from John Hughes, Lawrence. Are you concerned at all about the fact that we have, I'm not going to say scraped it tonight or scraped it in these games, but they're a lot tighter than you would like. And yeah, there's been a few VAR decisions not gone our way. Is that playing a big part in it as well for you, Lawrence?
Well, I suppose it's the refs that make the decisions, isn't it? It's not VAR. They just use VAR to help them get the wrong decisions. You know, I think we need to create more chances than 3 shots on target.
How do you do that? That's the question. How do you do that? On a night like tonight, where they're packed at defence, how do you do it?
I thought Jamesy was the option to get him on at half time. But for having a lot of options up front, only getting 3 shots on target would suggest perhaps we need something better up front. We know that from the Champions League anyway, you know. So the amount of chances we what did we do? Score 3 goals, you know, from 60 odd chances.
86 was it not?
Could be, mate. But yeah, so hopefully, you know, we've got a centre half lined up. Hopefully, we've got another striker lined up. I hope so.
Right.
No.
I'm going to take that
I
point.
just think 3 shots on targets, quite a poor return from, I don't know, 78% of the ball.
But it's unusual for us, isn't it? That's not
Really
the norm.
unusual game.
That's not the norm. So when you look at that then, Kev Graham, Lawrence is disappointed at the amount of chances we've made tonight, clear-cut chances. It is unusual. We normally make a plethora of chances in every game. Even in Europe we've been doing it, as Lawrence said there. So on a night like tonight when it's not happening, what do you do? If you're Ange Postecoglou, what do you do to change that?
I think he does what he usually does. He makes the same sort of substitutions all the time. And I think he would probably point out that 2 of his substitutions actually contributed for the second goal. We looked far dangerous down the right-hand side when he brought on Haksabanovic as well. So I think Postecoglou done everything that he can actually do. I'm fed up, like, Scottish football bumming up mediocrity, and like you look at Motherwell were getting praised. Well, the wee guy who sounded like the board and bus conductor was praising them on Motherwell TV or wherever he was commentating for, and I'm going like that. They're playing 7 at the back. They've came out and had a wee go in the second half, but you're actually celebrating them that they came out and had a go in the second half. I mean, we have a look in Europe and we want to bridge that gap. We want to bridge that gap in Europe. Surely teams in Scotland want to bridge that gap and come and have a go at us, rather than just sit there and cower. And it's almost as if they actually they ken that they're going to get a beating and they just curl into a ball and just make sure nobody hurts them in the face. I mean, Motherwell are probably, Stevie Hamill's probably praising that Motherwell performance. That was great. That was fantastic. I can't ask any more of the boys. He's got beat. It was a comfortable victory for an away team coming there. It was a comfortable victory. He didn't really lay a glove on us. He's had a wee bit here and there. But as Lawrence quite rightly points out, we only had 3 shots on target all night. We didn't play well tonight, but we were still extremely comfortable.
Yeah, I thought we were comfortable, and it was a dominant performance. You've just got to look at the possession and the fact that although we only got 3 on target, I've just checked here, it was 16 shots against Motherwell's 7. And when you look at the winning goal, again, I'll come to yourself, Kev McCluskey, Maeda. We've spoken about players who have got stick this season. Joe Hart being one of them. We spoke about him at the beginning of the game. At half-time, we're 1-0 up. Kyogo gets the goal. He's been getting a bit of stick for his performances. But another player who has fallen into that category is Maeda. He comes on tonight and he's the match winner. He's away to the World Cup after Saturday. And sometimes I think he gets too much of a hard time, does Daisen Maeda. And tonight was a timely reminder of what he can provide. And he's clearly a player that Ange Postecoglou rates extremely highly. Is he another one that you think's had a bit of a rough time? Is he a player that we've yet to see the best of? Because what we hear from our Japanese cohorts is that we haven't seen the best of him yet. That's the reason why we were surprised. He got into the squad, Kyogo and Atati didn't. A lot of the people, the journalists over in Japan, were not surprised at that.
I'm of the opinion, or sharing the same opinion as those journalists from Japan, that I'm not overly surprised that he made it. I was surprised that Kyogo didn't make the squad, but I wasn't overly surprised that Maeda did, because I think certainly with the way that Ange likes to play the game, and I think it's probably similar to how the Japanese national team will play, he's such an important player with the work rate that he's got, being a different sort of striker. Because normally, and we've spoken about this one before as well, normally you judge a striker on his goals, and that's the sole kind of metric you judge them by. But I think Maeda just brings so much more. It's that ability to get in behind. I think he's improving his final ball when he's out wide. He pulls defenders out of position. He plays on the shoulder at times. And now again, another one, once he gets into the team on a bit more regular basis, he's actually really quite composed in front of goal. His goal against Hearts the other week showed that as well. When he's got that reaction to kind of slide in and get the goal tonight, his first touch was phenomenal. Just controls it, brings it down, and he doesn't even have to break his stride to get the shot away. But yeah, he's a player that I think will kind of naturally be a victim of the boo boys or whatever you want to call them, because he's not a traditional type of centre forward that we're used to. He's not a big battering ram. He's not a boy that scores week in, week out. But he offers a lot more than goals, and that what he offers just goes under the radar quite often. So yeah, and delighted for him that he's made the World Cup. But I hope he only gets to 3 games and Japan get knocked out early so that he gets a bit of a rest for the second half of the season.
That's the thing about the World Cup. I'm only interested in watching the Celtic players who are involved. Donny boy, welcome back to the show. 3 points in the bag and happy enough. Yeah, you go away home happy if you win the 3 points. And we're sitting pretty at the top of the league, 7 points ahead of our nearest challengers, cooking with Chef Dai. That Kyogo Jota goal would have been goal this season. How much of a shame is it that it won't make it onto the end of season highlights DVD, because we still release DVDs, or should it? I would just throw it in there and celebrate it as a goal. It's got to be in there.
It's going to be all over Twitter with a different VAR conclusion, shall we say. There's going to be different images out there with a different conclusion.
One of the best disallowed goals I've ever seen Celtic scoring, if not the best.
Look at Willie Collum and his advantage ruling. You know, it's full on Celtic advantage, gets past the Celtic player and then out the pitch. Mm-hmm. He's like, what advantage was that, Willie?
I know.
It's just mystifying for me, as usual.
It is, and you know what? As I said at the beginning of the game, I would love to go through one of these days and not speak about the refereeing or the poor decision making after watching the VAR. However, it seems to be following us every single week since it was introduced against Hearts.
First half, Hatate and the Motherwell boy in the box. The Motherwell boy pushes Hatate back down as he's trying to get up in the box. The ball's in play. Looks after that as if Hatate's going to kick out, but you're going, well, he's not like pushing down in the box, surely.
Yep, it was, again, another poor performance by the officials. Celtic still, though, despite all that, managed to get the 3 points, which is the most important thing. We've got one more game to go, as Graham quite rightly says, Ross County, and then we can all enjoy either the Sydney Cup, the World Cup, or both. We will be covering both the Sydney Cup games, of course, and we're up to quite a lot of other things at the moment. We are just radioing our promo video for the charity single, and that will be with you very, very soon as well. If you want to support the channel, like this video, subscribe on YouTube. You can buy some of this merch as well. And we've just announced another live event in February this time, also at Gracie's. Special guest to be confirmed. You can buy a ticket underneath this video. There is a link. They are selling extremely fast. So if you want to buy somebody a wee Christmas present, why not buy them a ticket to Acsom Live, a live show like no other at Gracie's. Thanks everybody for getting involved. Thank you to the two Kevins and to Lawrence Conley for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.